Hi, everyone. Thank you for participating in today's webinar, Tablets and Cleanrooms to Improve Data Integrity. Before we get started, I'd just like to present a few tips to make sure everyone gets the most out of today's webinar. First off, it's easy to get distracted, especially as a lot of folks are very busy. Everyone's kind of working from home now. You have phone calls and texts, chats are hitting us a mile a minute. So please just try to do your best, stay focused and engaged if you can. Next, take notes. If you find something that we discussed today really interesting, jot it down so that you can remember it for later and reach out to us. We'd love to hear from you. If you have any questions that come up through the webinar, enter them in the chat. We'll be collecting them for later at the Q&A after the webinar. And finally, there's a poll question to keep things interactive coming up here. And just please try to answer it as best you can and kind of reflect your current circumstance as it pertains to this topic. So really looking at the agenda, first and foremost, what we'll be covering today: what is data integrity? What options exist for your clean room? How do those options impact data integrity? We're going to have an exciting demo from Nymi. And then how do you get started? Finally, with some questions and answers. Before we do any of that, let's get to it with some introductions. First of all, my name is Erik Hasty. I'm a senior sales manager at Grantek Systems Integration. I've been with Grantek for about 4 years now, and I live in North Carolina. Mike?
Yeah, hey everybody. My name is Michael Lynch, and I'm a senior sales engineer here at Nymi, and really looking forward to talking with you guys today and helping you learn more about the solution.
Hi everyone, Gregor Simeonov here. I'm the Director of Hardware Engineering at Nymi. I've been with the company for about 10 years, working on a variety of wearable biometric and authentication products, and more recently focusing on customer and partner integrations, and I'll be showing you a little demo of one of our solutions today.
Excellent. Thanks, Michael. Thanks, Gregor. Starting everyone off with a poll question. How confident are you with your data integrity? Would that be 1 through 4, very confident, fairly confident, somewhat confident, or ready to improve? You could take a moment and answer that. Interesting. We've got, looks like it's split between 3, but the one that's predominant is somewhat confident. So that's good. That's great to see, actually. It's interesting. So what is data integrity? Grantek offers data integrity auditing to help establish a baseline and really to identify gaps in data integrity that could result in failure to retain records or potential regulatory agency observations. So let's start with a basic definition of data integrity to kind of make sure we're all on the same page. FDA guidance describes data integrity as maintaining the completeness, consistency, and accuracy of data throughout its life cycle, from creation to processing, which is turning that raw data into useful information, to review, report, and use, how we use this information to make decisions, to retention and retrieval, how we store the information for its entire retention period, and how we access it for follow-ups, reviews, or audits. And then finally to destruction, how we properly dispose of data once its retention period is over. And that process from creation to destruction is what we're referring to when we talk about the data's life cycle. So what is the scope? Where does data integrity apply? While the general principles of data integrity can apply to all manufacturers, really in order to encourage good decision-making in the life sciences industry, these principles are embedded within the regulations, and it applies to any data being collected that supports a regulatory purpose, whether it's for manufacturing, packaging, storage, the QC lab, or clinical activities for that matter. But these are all activities where the predicate rules apply, and the GXPs. But one crucial thing to remember is that data integrity is not limited to computerized systems. It applies equally to paper-based, to computerized, and the hybrid systems that I see quite a bit out there. Any process that produces data is in scope. But it's also clear that the rise of computers has led to more data and more data-driven decisions than ever before, which brings us to our next topic, why now? So why is this a good time to be talking about data integrity? Well, first off, it's a major focus area for regulators. Over 75% of warning letters issued by the FDA to life sciences manufacturers in 2018 cited issues with data integrity. And the real trends show that this is a major point of emphasis in recent audits as well. Again, the concept that there is more data and that leads to more data-driven decisions means that having good data integrity program can have far-reaching implications, especially to overall product quality. And as we continue down paths of smart manufacturing, Industry 4.0, Pharma 4.0, and the IIoT, the importance of having good data will only grow. Having that solid plan for data integrity in place now can really pay big dividends down the line. So that kind of covers some of the background of data integrity as a concept and why it's important. Let's sort of talk a little bit about what makes good, quote unquote, data. And to really understand that, to understand what makes good data, we need to understand some different types of data and how they're used together. First, we have our raw data. This can be our temperature readings, for example, our speed of a mixer, chromatography data, or quality test data. It's direct readings from your manufacturing process, basically. Then we have all the metadata associated to that, which gives that raw data more context and meaning. For example, what time the reading was taken, who in the quality lab ran the test, what production order were we filling with this run, that type of thing. A piece of data and its related metadata is referred to as a record. And when that record, as you know, is used for a regulated purpose or to serve a regulated process, that's referred to as a regulated record. Makes sense. But data integrity principles can be applied to all data, but there are necessity for regulated records as well as the data and metadata that supports those records. When we talk about needing good data to make good decisions, one of the principles you hear all the time is ALCOA Plus. And ALCOA Plus is an acronym used to summarize principles of GDPs, good documentation practices, plus a few extra items that apply specifically to data integrity. It's referenced by the WHO, the FDA frequently when discussing data integrity. And there's a lot of information on ALCOA Plus that you can find with a quick Google search online. But for real purposes here today on this webinar, let's review each of these principles briefly. You can really dig into this online if you wanted to, but and also just to think about how your organization applies and proves compliance with these principles today. We're going to start with attributable. You need to know where the data came from and who or what made it. Legible, you need to clearly know what the data reading is. Contemporaneous, recorded at the right time, not remembered and written down later. Original, you need to have the first recording or a true copy of the data. And accurate, the data needs to properly represent the truth it's meant to. And then we get into some of the pluses. Which basically you're looking at complete, so you're having all the data, it's relevant metadata, and a clear record of any modifications that are there. Consistent, good practices lead you to really getting that data the same way every time. Enduring, maintaining for the entire retention period, which can be set by a regulator or your company policy. And then finally, available. You can get it and when you need it. You can get it if and when you need it, like when the auditors are at the door asking for it, basically. So it seems simple enough, and I think we can all agree that data that conforms to each of these principles is data that basically we would trust and could use to make good decisions. But how does this really apply to your business? And do you have a good handle on each of these principles? And more importantly, very importantly for your regulators, how do you demonstrate and prove it? What's your official policy and how do you make sure it's enforced? What options exist for your clean room? Now we'll take a look at some options that you have for your clean room. Really looking at quite a few options here from Systec Solutions. Everything from HMIs, the Wave, and the Pilot to specifically what we're going to be talking about today, which is tablet PCs and IT OT options. Some of the features, use cases, and options for tablet PCs. Tablets can really enable putting paper on glass. What I see typically are batch records and SOPs, basically replacing any written notebook that you have. Tablets are ideal for that. Some options to consider. Operating systems include Windows, Linux, Android, iOS. So really everything that's out there essentially. And then true life sciences ready, stainless steel is critical. It has to be wash down ready. It has to be IP65 rated. It has to be IP rated, I should say. And it has to be portable as the current paper in use today. Some of the options that you do have out there are the stainless steel tablet with the Microsoft Surface Pro. It's actually the Surface Pro 8. We do have a stainless steel tablet with the Zebra. And then we also offer a stainless steel tablet with the iPad Pro, the Apple iPad Pro. So you have options out there, quite a bit actually. So what options exist? Inserting pictures into EMBRs is one. Really using the rear-facing camera on those tablets I just showed you to capture a picture of a printed label and insert it into a batch record. Providers of MES software and hosted MES low-code, no-code solutions are adding this feature into their EMBR functionality. So it's something to think about. Reading barcodes. Reading barcodes with the rear-facing camera again. And if the native tool set in the tablet is not adequate enough, there are commercially available tools to use. You have Cognex, mobile barcode software development kit, SDK is a great tool to use. We see that quite a bit actually. Which leads us to biometric authentication. Using Bluetooth Low Energy, BLA connectivity to a tablet PC, really ideal situation. It enables biometric authentication to a stainless steel IT device, such as a tablet. It reduces manual entry of credentials, which can add up over time. As it says, you're going to save time there, especially over the long haul. And you're going to improve and protect data integrity using biometric authentication. So how do these options really impact data integrity? Well, a tablet PC is really the starting point for many by getting paper on glass. Often called putting paper on glass, this is a step along the Pharma 4.0 journey. Tablet PCs replace the paper like SOPs, batch records via automation. And this isn't just an IT exercise. It's providing operational and quality improvements as well. Everything from leveraging the built-in version control of eDocs. Your e-signatures are recorded immediately, which is the C in Alcoa. It really enforces the completion of all steps in the correct order. It simplifies EBR execution and barcodes alongside human readable text. Finally, the biometric authentication that we just talked about in place of entering usernames and passwords every single time. Images can also be inserted into EMBRs. Digital tools and mobile tablets really allow for those images to be captured and then inserted into a batch record. Obviously, you need a rear-facing camera, which we do offer. The tablets do work with large MES suites. They work with low-code, no-code EMBR applications. And the images themselves can really serve as evidence that tasks were performed there. Easy, quick win for your Pharma 4.0 journey. Reading barcodes, really entering data automatically, accurately, and quickly. And with that camera on the rear, and either native or commercially available software like Cognex or Tulip, which is very popular now, your tablet can enter data instantly and accurately. So there's no need to manually enter label information. There's no need for a second device to read barcodes. You can start adding barcodes and data matrices to labels. You really eliminate user data entry errors and deviations, and you save time by replacing data entry with barcode scanning. Makes sense. Biometric authentication in Pharma 4.0, when you're entering these credentials multiple times a day in shifts, it takes time and really can frustrate the operators. I've seen it. I think we've all have seen this. But a tablet combined with biometric authentication really enables an operator to log in quickly, use those e-signatures to verify completion of the steps, the phases, and really saves time and improves data integrity. So it enters the credentials automatically. It saves time for each logon. You really improve data integrity there. The ROI is typically less than 6 months, what we're finding. The operator adoption rate is well over 90%, and it makes things very simple and very easy for their operators. Now we're going to talk about Nymi a little bit and switch over to Michael and Gregor.
Yeah, thanks, Erik. Appreciate it. Yeah, so everybody, just wanted to give you a quick introduction to the Nymi band. So there's been a lot of focus today, not only on pharma and the specific use cases for that, but around biometric authentication. And so the Nymi band is basically a purpose-built band for pharma. It supports biometric authentication by wearing the band is one factor, and using your fingerprint to authenticate into the band is another factor. So basically the way it works, and I'll show you some more details in another slide, but you put the band on, you do a one-time fingerprint authentication into the band. And then from that point on, the band, as long as you're wearing it on your wrist, is authenticated. This is as I said earlier, this is a quick overview of how to do that. So from the user standpoint, they go in to gown up, let's say for their shift, they put the band on first. They do a one-time, fingerprint authentication. There is an enrollment process, by the way, which is one time. When they first get the band, they go through a one-time enrollment, which kind of associates their fingerprint to their account on the band. And then from that point on, everything is just a quick one fingerprint authentication. You can use it to tap to get into log in to workstations. You can use it for different applications. This is actually an example here of using it for physical access. So, if you're going to actually get access to a door, to an elevator, in place of a traditional access card, you can use the Nymi band for that. This is actually a use case here that we're going to talk about. Gregor's going to demo this in a minute. This is passwordless log into, in this case, it's going to be a tablet that we're going to log into, and you can do physical access, or passwordless access to that, as well as walk away lock control. I'll walk away from the workstation, and it'll actually lock automatically when it detects my band gets a certain distance away. And then finally, we can do, actually I reversed some of these before, but we can do digital signatures as well. So you talk about these manufacturing execution systems, and you could actually log into those, and as you're going through and doing your e-signatures on your batch records, instead of having to enter in, credentials to do that, you can just use a tap with the Nymi band. And finally, just to talk a little bit about how this actually works, the Nymi band actually is capable of doing both BLE and NFC communication. So depending on what's available on the different workstations, you can use that type of communication on your endpoints. And again, we can do physical access, we can do passwordless login and walk away lock control on a workstation or tablet, and we can also integrate and do e-signatures directly with the different MES applications. So Gregor, why don't you give us a quick walkthrough next of what that looks like?
Sure, will do. Thanks, Mike. So this is a quick demo of the Nymi band passwordless. Maybe we want to mute that and restart the video. Yeah, sure. Thank you. Yeah, so it's a demo of the Nymi band and our passwordless login application with the Systec Solutions Microsoft Surface Pro. So here I'm just demoing what the band looks like. You basically put it on and you authenticate to the band with your fingerprint. So I'll be doing that in a second. This band in specific is tied to my corporate credential, which is basically the Active Directory service on the Microsoft backend. And that credential allows me to basically, with a tap of the wrist, log into this tablet, as you'll see in a second. Completely passwordless, hands-free. So tap of the wrist, log into the tablet. We also have this notion of a persistent identity and presence. So as long as I'm wearing the band or I'm in presence of the tablet, it'll remain authenticated and access to the system. But the moment I walk away or take off the wristband, it logs me off automatically. So you can imagine this workflow also works quite well with MES systems, digital signatures, SSO applications, and a bunch of other solutions we have around various like physical and logical applications. The band also works really well in clean room environments, under gloves, under PPE. And so there's really an element of data integrity, security, and convenience there as well. Back to you, Mike.
Excellent. Actually, I think it was back to Erik.
Back to Erik.
Oh, no problem. No problem. Thank you guys for that. That was awesome. So really, how to get started at this point, those of you that are thinking this, first and foremost, really evaluate the options that could work for you. A lot of options out there. Email Grantek to discuss a plan to put things in action. It's info@grantek.com, and work with us. Work with Grantek to ensure your option continues to inform decisions that you do make. So with that being said, take some questions. Would love to take some questions from the audience. And really thank you very much for being here today, and thank you for listening. Let's see here. Looks like I've got a few questions coming in. Here's one for Mike at Nymi. Mike, what's the range of the BLE dongle? Meaning if I walk X meters away from the tablet, it'll log me off the tablet.
Yeah, that's a good question. So, the dongle uses Bluetooth Low Energy, BLE. It's got a maximum range of about 30 feet. So, obviously you might not want that to be, the walk away range. It's configurable within that 30 feet. So some customers might have it be, just maybe 3-4 feet away. Some might be, longer. Just depends on where those workstations and tablets are in the lab and kind of how close they are to other things. So 30 feet is kind of your maximum BLE range there, and then you can configure it down from that.
Excellent. Next question, I'll take this one. How much does the Systec Solutions tablet weigh? That would be the Microsoft Surface 8 that Systec Solutions has, and that would be about 1.8 kilograms, so about 4 pounds roughly, something in that range. So not terribly heavy, and easy and very, very, very portable for that matter. So let's see here. Next question. This is actually one for Mike at Nymi also. Can the Nymi band be worn under the operator's gown and other PPE?
Yeah, absolutely. So as I was kind of talking earlier, this band has been designed specifically for pharma. So it has all the certifications for that. It's got dust and water certifications, and absolutely it's made to be worn under gowns, gloves, that kind of PPE that would typically be seen in labs for sure.
Excellent. That's great. Next question, and I've got this one. I'll take it. Can the tablet be charged during use? Yes, it can. Actually, there's two options. You can use a docking hinge that Systec Solutions makes to actually dock the tablet in the hinge itself, and it can be mounted to a wall, that type of thing. And or a cleanroom charger that they do make as well. They make cleanroom chargers that are IP65 rated. They can go in the cleanroom with the actual tablet itself. So another question that I'll take, what are some of the cleaning agents that can be used on the tablets? One that I hear of all the time is undiluted spore cleanse with that pH less than 2. I do see that quite frequently. Or 40% sodium hydroxide where the pH can be around 12 or equals 12, or hydrogen peroxide for that matter. So those are probably the three most common ones that we see. Next question, this is a good one for Mike at Nymi. How does Nymi ensure that operator A isn't using the Nymi band for operator B and pretending to be operator B?
Yeah, good question. So the Nymi bands are actually they're 1-to-1. So when you get your Nymi band, you do your enrollment, you associate your fingerprint with your band, and from that point on, you're the only person that can authenticate into your band. So if you happen to find somebody else's band and try to fingerprint authenticate with that band, you won't be able to. And if you try to take your band off and give it to somebody else, the bands are built in with on-person presence detection. So as soon as you take the band off, it knows that right away and deactivates. So you can't activate your band and then take it off and try to give it to somebody else.
Excellent. That's great. It looks like that's all the questions we have, guys. Thanks, Mike. Thanks, Gregor, for being on the call. Thank you to all the attendees for registering and attending today. We really appreciate it. Hopefully you learned something from our presentation, our webinar today. You're also going to be sent a recorded, basically a recording of the webinar itself. And if you do have any questions, feel free to send those to info@grantek.com. And I just hope everyone has a great day out there. Thank you.